After 6 months, I am making an adjustment to my portfolio recommendations. I'm not a financial advisor, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you what I do, what I see. You follow my, do your own research. I'm not selling anything here, so I don't know why I even have to tell you I'm not a financial analyst or whatever. But here is how I think is the dream portfolio breakdown. Bitcoin 50%, Ethereum 25%, Stellar Lumens 25%. Okay? Now, first of all, Bitcoin 50% I see as a minimum. If you're a beginner and you have 100% in Bitcoin, great. Don't worry about it. If you're advanced and you have 100% in Bitcoin or 70% in Bitcoin, great. And you might turn out to be right. I don't have any, I think, like I said, 50% is a minimum. For Ethereum and Lumens at 25%, I think that's a maximum. I wouldn't go higher than that. So the reason I've changed, because before this, I've been saying 30% Lumens, 20% Ethereum. 6 months ago, it was a different world. And first of all, in the past 6 months, Ethereum, Stellar has outperformed Ethereum by 100%, literally doubled against Ethereum. So my allocation made sense, but I think now things have changed. 6 months ago, I was concerned with Ethereum. I said, well, I love Ethereum, but in the short run, what are they doing, right? The upgrades were 6 months away. Well, here we are 6 months later. The second layer solutions have now launched. Things are launching. We have this MakerDao I just made a video about. Looks like a very successful project on Ethereum. And not only that, MakerDao ties up Ethereum as collateral within it, which is good for the supply, store of value story. Also, Ethereum's launching its upgrade in a couple months, Constantinople, which introduces proof of stake, which will suck up more Ethereum supply. So I see some sort of short-term improvements that have either just happened or are happening now with Ethereum, which makes me more bullish on it in the short run than I was. Whereas in Stellar, on the other hand, a lot of things we were looking forward have already happened. The Stellar X launched, and a lot of things have happened. It's still great. I just made a video about Stellar, how I love it, and I love it long term. I still do. And to be quite frank, 25% of your crypto portfolio is a lot for a very small coin, right? So this is not to say I'm negative on it, but in the short run, I don't see anything new that's going to happen in the short run. And not to mention, one of the things we were looking forward to, a central bank launching a currency on Stellar Network, now I'm not so sure that's happening anytime soon. So in the short run, Stellar's had a huge run against Ethereum. And now I think that the short run looks different, and I would take some of those gains and make your Ethereum portfolio allocation a little bit bigger. The other thing is, because Stellar is a smaller coin, it has less liquidity, and some people say, well, that's awesome because it can go up more. Maybe, and if there's some surprise, it could. But it can also go down more. I'm always more worried about the downside than the upside. So I think in the short run, and Ethereum's gotten killed, right? And it's down here. Under 300. It's really gone down a lot. So I think the downside risk on Stellar is much bigger. I'm not saying it's going to go down. Again, I'm not trying to be negative on Stellar, but if I had to pick the two, which I am doing, I have to pick, if you're an investor, how much of an allocation to be in the bigger coin that has short-term things happening, to me seems a better bet than the smaller coin that I don't see anything new happening in the short run. That's the way I sort of explain it. Now, the other thing is, you may be wondering, well, I just made a video about owning some MakerDao. You may have some other coins that you like, but my allocation is 50% Bitcoin, 25% Ether, and 25% Lumens. So where do you put the other coins? My suggestion is you would take those from the Lumens or the Ethereum. On one hand, I would say you could take it from your Lumen allocation. In other words, only have 20% Lumens and then 5% for your other. On the other hand, sometimes I have looked at it as if there's some Ethereum-based project using ERC20 tokens, and it's sort of an Ethereum proof of concept type of, it's proving that Ethereum is valuable. You may feel like, well, I'll invest less in Ethereum, only have 20% Ethereum and 5% in this Ethereum-based project, because you're sort of double betting on Ethereum by betting on this other one. However you want to do it, but I wouldn't take it from your Bitcoin. Don't let the Bitcoin go below 50%. At this point, I would not do that, because Bitcoin may be the first to run. In the next parabolic move is coming, eventually. I don't know when. Could be next month. Could be next year. But when it comes, Bitcoin probably moves first. And then Ethereum probably moves next. Stellar's a wild card, and that thing has moved. Last year, or in 2017, Stellar Lumens had 2 parabolic moves in the year. Huge 10x plus moves in the year. So, but that's not to say it's going to happen this year. And I would expect Bitcoin, then Ethereum, and then Stellar. So that's why I'm making this slight adjustment. And these aren't exact numbers either. To be honest with you, my portfolio doesn't look exactly like this, because if you've been following my advice and you're not a trader, your Ethereum, which I said 20%, probably went to 10%, and your Stellar, which I said 30%, probably went to 40%, right? So it doesn't look like this. And you may not want to run in and just dump it all in a day and this and that. These are targeted suggestions, it's not, and it's all about spreading risk and laying out your bets to have a little diversification. There's no magic bullet to any magic solution and right or wrong on any of this. It's about minimizing risk, and I always like to think minimizing the downside risk, but leaving the potential for another parabolic move up, and we all are happy. So that's it. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you.